Hi and welcome back to another video of JPlay. I am Marcus, and as you can see today I'm taking a look at SpaceCorp, the digital edition. The developer reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested to take a look at a relatively early build. No, it's really not so early actually, but it's still not a production build from what I can tell and from what I've been told actually. And the game will be released on Steam sometime in August, I believe. The date just eludes me, but you can already go to Steam and put it onto your wish list. And of course I will put a link to basically the Steam page. So today I will take a look at some of the, let's call it, intricacies of the digital edition. It basically plays like the board game itself, and yeah, I will also turn down my video relatively soon, so you won't get distracted by my face here. But ultimately we are going to launch a new game here. Maybe I should click on the right button. And yeah, my player name, I think it's there exactly. Not sure why it doesn't show it. It will show it later to me. I can now play the base game, or can play the base game plus the Ventures expansion. Apparently I do not own it, and honestly I haven't tried it and I won't. But let's simply take a look at the base game, where you already get a lot of game from that, quite honestly. Let's launch that, and here you have the standard, let's say, settings for a game. You can choose the, let's say, spacecrafts you're using. Personally, I prefer the standard cubes of SpaceCorp for whatever reason. You can, let's say, choose your starting era. So we are starting in the Mariners era, but you can also go to, I think, Planetiers and then the staff eras. The amount of players, I will demonstrate a 3-player game today, but you can go through the full solo mode by choosing 2 players and competition. So then you really have to, or you can really play the true solo game. But honestly, I do like the interaction with actual players, so that's why I will do a 3-player game, and I choose not 4 players simply to keep things, let's say, a little bit swifter, so I can really walk you through my turns here. My difficulty will be on easy, even though I played this game now a couple of times. Actually, I would not consider myself a pro. We are not launching the tutorial, so no, in this case we are simply starting the game. And here we are. Welcome to the space race. August 2025. SpaceCorp has announced plans for giant ring-shaped space stations more than 50 times the size of the ISS, allowing it to more easily colonize the moon, explore nearby comets and asteroids, and conduct science experiments in zero-G to further its plans for genetic engineering. So you can read that for yourself. So we are starting in the first era of the game, the Mariners, 2025 to 2069. Humanity takes a first step towards deep space travel, exploring nearby asteroids and setting up bases on the surface of Moon and Mars. Isn't that lovely? Not sure who's going first. Vangalars, apparently. They typically always play their time cards relatively soon if they can. And yeah, this fella has taken my plan away. I really wanted to go to Luna with my first action, but I think right now there's no point in doing this. I'm relatively certain, yeah, they will then take over these Lagrange points from me. And now it's basically my turn. Let me quickly take down the camera, and then yeah, we will keep playing from here. Okay, in case you lived under a rock and have no clue what SpaceCorp actually is, we are really trying to explore first our solar system a little bit, then a little bit beyond the solar system, and in the last era we are really reaching out for the stars. Ultimately we will score victory points, or profit as it is called in this game. So you see here Marcus has 0F, so I'm not sure, I think that's some kind of a currency. I keep forgetting what those are, but in theory those are victory points. You gain those victory points by either production actions, for example, which is a good way of scoring points. Later you will score some points for colonies. You will also score points for these contracts. So every era has their own distinct set of, let's call it, milestones that you can achieve. So for example, the first player to conduct a produce action will score 2 victory points, or the first player to have cards in a 3 influence infrastructure slots will also score 2 points, or having bases in 4 different regions. First base on Mars, you get the idea. This is also one of the, let's call it era and a trigger. So when the 6th contract is fulfilled, this will trigger the end of the era. Each other player will then still take a turn, not the player who triggered this. And the other way how this era can end is basically when we are running out of these cards. We have 37 in our deck, it seems. Never counted those myself. And then once you can no longer conduct action, you can pass. And in a 3-player game with 2 players have passed, the last player can still perform 1 more action. Then we are calling it good. In this era, we can again more or less reach to Mars and ultimately to the asteroid belt. And the first player to make it to the asteroid belt will get this first beyond marker. The second team to get there will get the second beyond marker. It's not unlikely that one player is claiming them both. You shouldn't allow one player to do that, but let's see how things go. And in between, again, you will fly to Mars. You will explore these 2 sites on Mars. And once you have explored the sites, this will reveal something, and you can build a base on these sites. And this base you can typically exploit one way or the other. This very first era is, I would say, more of an introductory one. It's still pretty great because it sets the stage, it sets the tone, and more rules come into the, let's say, various eras. So in era 2 we have also some more genetics and so on. Maybe I will come to that a little bit later. But you will not ultimately score, you will not win the game by scoring a lot of points in the Mariners era here, relatively certain. It's still okay to score some points, I don't know, somewhere between 3 to 10. I suppose that's already quite a lot, actually 10. But yeah, let's see how things go. This is our hand of cards, basically. So we all start the game with a time card. Time cards are basically, let's call it multipliers to some extent. We have a chemical drive. These are all starting cards, by the way, and we are staging the deck to put more of these starting cards on top until we get to the more interesting cards. But this card, for example, we can place into our infrastructure down here. And this infrastructure gives you ongoing virtual points, basically. So whenever you want to perform a move action, you always have one movement point on your infrastructure. The, let's say, slots here on the right, the 3 ones, you can overbuild. The research slot, this basically allows you to draw more cards, is something that is stuck. And that's something, I think, for your own protection, you cannot overbuild the research action here. During your turn, you can research, basically drawing cards. You can move. In order to move, you have to create movement points, typically by using points from your infrastructure, or you can also use the infrastructure of another player. So let's look at Vangelos here, for example. That's the tableau of Vangelos. Yeah, okay, doesn't really help us. It's the same thing. Similarly here, Wise, I think they all didn't really extend their infrastructure just yet. When you do so, they will gain a reward, basically drawing a card. Drawing cards is never a bad thing. There's no real hand size limit, but I come to that. But at a certain point, you can no longer take the research action. I officially forgot how many cards those are, but the game will tell me. I have my rules here. The rules, the PDFs are there as well, so I could check. But right now, let's keep going. Because someone already has taken the Luna idea away from me, I could also move to Luna, but I'm also relatively certain by the time I get there, and I think, who's the purple player? Was it Vangelos? I think he was the first player to move there. He will take the exploration action and then it's gone. On the other hand, I could go for the exploration, let him go for the exploration action, and then maybe I could build a base there. That is something that you could do, but you always give the opponent some players because they were the ones who explored the site successfully. So I think in this case, maybe let's start off the game a little bit slow. We will do a research. In theory, I could play more cards with research, but I don't have those. I only have those move, explore, and this other move card here, the time card, you never play on your own. And this is here to basically, as it says, double the action's total value, use the total value voice. I will come to that a little bit later. So in this case, let's simply research. So I can now pick one card from the display here, or I can, or basically two cards because I have two research points here. One research point equals one card. Or I could draw a card here from the top of the deck. I think I do want at least one build card, so let's grab this one. But all the others do not really excite me, so I think I will go for the top deck basically. That's move or build. I think basically the same thing, but it's also a starter card. And again, I could check now how many starter cards are still on top of the deck, but it's not great. That's why being the first doing the research action was already not a great idea, honestly, because I make the deck, every card that comes after the starting card is typically a little bit better. But let's see how things go. And it also tells us here, era end is triggered when draw deck is empty. Yeah, more or less. That's basically action complete. I will end my turn. We are moving back. This is now, oh, there is a research card. And now, of course, he's taking it away. I officially hate, oh, there's a produce card. Ooh, yeah, and he's playing this card. There are some of these edge cards which you can also basically play outside of your turn. He already built a spaceport here. As soon as you have a spaceport, you can then teleport your teams to. That's why building something on the lunar Lagrange, on the Lagrange points, is typically a good thing. But yeah, let's see how things go here. I could consider doing another research action because this card is very nice, getting those produce cards. And here we have a build card which I can put into my infrastructure. Again, every card that is allowed to be placed in my infrastructure says so, may upgrade as infrastructure. So what am I going to do now? I think actually I will go for another research, and I want this for sure. It's a production card, and maybe I find a better one, but here's a build and an explore card. That is also quite nice, but I also need some stronger move cards, so I will go for the top deck once more. And that's move 2. Okay, that is cool. That is better. Move 2 or build 2. That will help me maybe making it to Mars, or maybe even ultimately already to the asteroid belt. Anyway, let's click on done. This is my action done. I could follow my opponent, and in a normal multiplayer game you really should do, but you typically see, so he did an exploration action. He found some exotic elements on the moon. Therefore, maybe I can explain it here. Tap the player's badge on top of the screen to tap. Okay, I know that. Thanks. Completed torch there. So he found these exotic elements. This basically gives him an immediate 1 victory point, so that's why he's now in the lead. So everything that's here on the left happens as soon as you uncover or explore this tile. So there's a stack of tiles, and the right hand is basically sometimes an ongoing effect. In this case, it has a production value, so whenever I take now a production action, I could then generate 1 victory point. Anyway, it's our turn again, and oh, I do see another move 3 card here, and it's also an edge card, and an edge card basically allows me play at the beginning of your turn, take 2 turns in a row. That is a great way to snag something away from someone else. So basically getting 2 turns in a row is never a bad thing. So again, I am considering to do that again. Let's do that. So we are taking this card, yes, and I guess I will go for another top deck card here. Let's do that. Oh, it's another edge card. At the end of an opponent's turn, take all cards they discarded into your hand. So this is where you have to pay attention now. But I think that is okay, actually. Let's end our turn, and I think, oh, here's a genetics card. Oh, I wanted the genetics card. So he played now a card, an edge card, which basically tells him we can no longer do exploration actions, I believe. And now, because it's the end of the turn, I could now decide to play. That's why it's this interrupt here. I could now play my edge card because I could poach this card away. And I believe it was this card here, which I could take away, but it's only 1 card. I think I can do better, so let's not do that. Let's skip over this. Now it's the Weiss who's taking their turn. Oh, I think he's going for those Lagrange points. Maybe I do want to get to Mars, actually. Yeah, let's see that. Maybe we can make it to Mars. Action complete. Again, I could decide to take cards away, but I believe he didn't play any cards, so I will also skip that. And now it's my turn, and now I'm being asked, do you want to play 2 actions in a row by basically playing this card here? I think right now I don't want to do that, so let's skip that as well. And now it is my turn. So, in theory, I could try to make it to one of the Mars sites here. This will basically give you some victory points here. in order to make it to Mars, and I think now we can speak about these movement points. First off, you always have to spend 1 movement point for taking off, so lift off. That's 1. Because we have a high gravity on Earth, we have a +2. So just to make it off our planet here, we have to spend 3 movement points. Then we have to cross, through this sector here. So from this area, we have to move into this area here. That's another movement point. So that's 4 movement points. Then we have 7 movement points to make it into the Mars region here. And then you normally need also 1 movement points to land. But again, Mars also has a higher gravity. This is a +1 here as well. So I think in total we have to spend 10 points in order to make it here. Alternatively, I could try to make it to the asteroid belt. And for the asteroid belt, I would also need 3 movement points to lift off, 4 movement points to move in here, 7 movement points to move in here, 9 movement points to move in here, and then 10 movement points to land on the asteroid belt. So let's see, we have a 3. I think we can definitely make it. We have 1 movement point in here. Let's try to move to Mars. Again, I'm not playing particularly well. I have to talk way too much in this case. We have our duplication card here, our time card. This basically doubles our points here, and I think we may want to do that. So in total, we need, that's okay. It's somewhat of a waste. We need 5 movement points to make it here. So let's see. I think we are playing this card here. So in total, you see, we have a move 2. That is not enough. We have a move 3. If we double that, that's that. And then I have to decide. I think we are going for this card here. So now we have 5 movement points. And because I'm now playing, the time card, I can now decide if I want to take it for the 2 action. Then I can basically split those points, or basically assign those 5 movement points to 2 different teams. That is not bad in theory, but I want to make it to Mars. So I will use it here to double our movement points, so ×2. So now we have 10 movement points at our disposal. So in theory, I could make it to the asteroid belt here. The problem there is this team is out. Let's try something different. So we are moving. We are doing the move action. We are choosing the team. I think we have chosen the team. And then it basically already tells me basically how many of those movement points I need. So when I click on the 9, he will move my little marker here onto the North Mars region. I could also move to the southern Mars region, but someone already explored it here, so I don't want to be there actually. So no, I think that was that. So we are ending our turn. And next turn around, we will try to explore. Okay, he's also playing a time card. Maybe I want to take those time cards now. And I think I will do that. Where was it? I think it was it this? Was it this? But I need the 2 points actually. I need the 2 points here. I need 2 exploration points in order to explore. So no, I will skip. I think I'm really not playing particularly well. Unless maybe he's playing some exploration points. No, he doesn't do that either, and I don't want to waste this card. No, I will skip that too. And now in theory, I could decide if I want to play the other card, so this one here, to play 2 turns in a row. Not sure if this is necessary though. I could basically explore and then build, but I believe I don't have enough points to build just yet. So no, I will also skip that, and this is now my turn. And now we want to explore, so we want to go for an exploration action. You don't see exploration here because we have to generate those points. Here I'm only seeing the points or the actions I have already unlocked some points into. So in this case, I always have 2 research points. I always have 1 move point. That's the main reason why it's showing that here. But if I now want to play this card, you see, oh, now I can explore because I played the exploration card. So let's do that. And I do need 2 exploration points. I have explored 2 because it says E2 here, which means, again, I need to spend 2 exploration points. So I will explore. I will explore here. I can only explore where I have a team. Obviously, there is one, I believe, single time action card or so. But now when I think about it, let's not do that. Let's take it back, and there's a cool undo action, because I'm seeing the genetics action down here. And these genetic actions are extremely valuable. Good that I caught that. So I will research instead. It's super boring, I know, but let me do that anyway. I will take this card, and I will also take another card from the top. And that is cool. Explore one or build one, and we can play this as an infrastructure. That is an amazing card, actually. Oh, I love that. So let's end our turn, and maybe next round we will then explore. Let's see. Oh, he's using an exploration card. Oh, he's playing a lot of cards. He's playing a lot of cards. He's moving to Halley's Comet, and I think I will poach this card now, actually. Yeah, I think I will poach this card. I will take basically all the cards that he played. I will end my actions now. I have given away exploration too, but I still think it was worth it for 2 points. Yeah, he's going strong for these Lagrange points. I could now take 2 actions in a row. Okay, that is now interesting. Do I want to do that? Yeah, let me do that just to show things to you. So I will play this card. Play at the beginning of your turn. Take 2 turns in a row. I will play that. I will end my actions. So this is now my first turn, and I think for my first turn I will build this. Come on. I will build this as an infrastructure card. So I will put it here. So now I have also a virtual build or a virtual exploration point on my infrastructure. That is never a bad thing. Then we will end our turn, because I'm taking 2 turns in a row. It's my turn again. Hooray. And I think now I'm going to explore. So now you see I have an exploration here, because yeah, I have a virtual exploration. I also have a build here. Isn't that lovely? But now we really want to explore, I believe. There's nothing else that came up in respect to genetics. So we are playing, does it matter? No, it doesn't. So we are playing this card here together with my exploration from the infrastructure. I have an explore of 2, which is enough. So now I will really explore. I will explore here. I will draw a card. Ooh, what can it be? And it's awesome. Exomicrobe. So it's 2 victory points right off the bat, and it has a production value. That is so cool. So we get the 2 points right off the bat. You have seen that up here. Not in the lead, but at least, let's say, made some money. And I could later on build a base here. That is really, really cool. Let's end our turn. Now we are moving back to him. He's using my space port, I believe, my infrastructure, which is cool. And this infrastructure is giving me 1 card. That is always cool. I just saw that because he clicked on my thing, and he fulfilled the first contract, the Astrometeer contract, and earned 3 fame points or profit. So what is that? Let's check. Okay, yeah, he had the 3 Lagrange bases. Of course, we knew that. Purple will most likely take away this point here, first produce action, because he's already set up for this. I haven't seen if he has the cards, if he has a produce card yet in his hand, so I could still gamble on that, and I probably will build a base on Mars here anyway, rather sooner than later. But in order to do that, yeah, we need 6 build points. So the B6 here underneath means in order to build a base on Mars, I need to come up with 6 build points. 1 I have here, 1 I have here, and 2 I have here. So this is most certainly not enough. So I could go for another research to get myself enough build points, and I think I may want to do that. So let's do another research action. I want, does it matter? No, it does not. Let's take the heavy lifter. Do I want to take the produce card away just to make sure? Let's do that. So we have taken our cards. Let's enter. Oh no, and again it's the genetics cards. Oh, I hate him for that. Let's see if someone is taking it away. He's building a base here on Halley's Comet. Yeah, he's just taking it away. The card, so maybe I need to play the genetics card actually. Because otherwise he's taking that action away from me. Because let's check those contracts again. Oh no, first play with 2 genetic points. That was it. That was it. Yeah, okay, so we are most likely not going to be that. Okay, did that change something? So we have the points to build the base, and maybe we want to do that because that's also a goal, first base on Mars. That's also 3 profit basically. So let's do that. So we are playing this, we are playing this, and we are playing this. So that's 5 points play plus the 1, yeah, more or less virtual point we have. That's a build 6, and we need build 6 to build a base here. So let's do that. The program is clever enough to tell us where we can build right now. It's only here. So let's do that. And now we can choose all kinds of bases. So let's see. So that's a research base. Yeah, we can basically build that, I believe, yeah, anywhere, but this is really not cool. When built, take one card from the card offers. If there would be now a cool card, the genetics card, I could have considered that, honestly. I'm really tempted to go for the, what's the biolab? Discovery tile has microbes. Yes, we have microbes. When built, advance your genetics marker by 1 space. I think I will do that, actually, because then I will score the other one. Yeah, let's do that. We are building this base. We have fulfilled the contract, Martian Explorer, and therefore we gained 3 profit. Nicely done. Let's end the turn. Let's move back to Vangelos. And yeah, he's playing the first genetics card here, and it's so amazing how awesome this game is. I can't tell you. The board game on its own is already so cool. Let's see. Let's take a look at my board. So you see, I already have progressed. Maybe I should have shown that to you. That's the normal player board, actually, without the Ventures expansion here. So this is 2, say, rings we go through for breakthroughs. So we have the genetics, and this is the adaptation or whatever. I keep forgetting what those are. And here are our 3 or 4 slots basically, and these are all the bases, and we have some more team cubes in here. So right now we have progressed 1 space with our genetics marker here, because we have just built the base with those. And I think now, in order to secure this contract here, first player with 2 genetic points, I think we have to play this card, and we will play this for genetics. Bam! Marcus fulfilled the mutant emergence contract and earned 2 fame points. So how does this look? So this is taken, and now when I look at my board, we have taken another step. In this very first era of the game, there is nothing we can actually do with those genetic points, but as of the next era onward, we can cash those in. So whenever we make a full cycle here, we can take a card of the same color. In the next era, we will have 2 colors of adaptation card. I believe that's the overarching term basically for both of those. But we are in a good shape to getting one of those cards in our next era. Awesome. And we have scored some points. So 7 points isn't terrible, actually. So let's see. Let's end our turn. Let's have Vangelos. So he's producing. Yeah, he will now do the production thing. Yeah, makes sense. Vangelos first to market contract. But I think, yeah, I couldn't have prevented that, actually. So he's moving his second there because he can do so. Basically, at the end of your turn, if you have one of your, let's say, teams of one of these spaceports, you can more or less teleport them to another base or to another site, I believe. Another site of so. Or did he move normally? Did I miss that up? No, I think you have to move from base to base. I think he did a normal move here in this case. Could be wrong. So what's my next plan? So we have a team on Mars. And in order to make it to the first beyond, or to the asteroid belt, we need 2 movement points, 4 movement points, 5 movement points. We have 1 movement point here, but I do think we want to play this card here first, actually. Do I want to take the risk? I think this is a very strong card for an upgrade. Let's do that. I will play that here. Or should I play? No, I think, wait a second. Yeah, I think that's a little bit misleading here, I believe. This needs to be, I think, cards, non-starter cards, I believe. No, this is not a card, of course. No, this is not a card. That's why. No, let me undo this. Sorry. I will then, in this case, this is not a card. I'm stupid. I will play this, and I will overbuild this card here. So now I have 2 cards. So the next one could be a potential milestone as well, or another contract. Sorry. Okay, let's end the turn. And you have seen that, by the way, you always draw a card at the end of the game if you have, I believe, 5 or fewer than 5. Let me confirm that. That's the thing. As soon as you start playing these games as a digital edition, you will forget some of the rules, because at the table you will always have to look at the rules. Here you have some sort of a, let's call it AI, a computer that will tell you, hey, you are allowed to draw a card. That's why it's not a great way learning this game with this version of the game. You will certainly miss some of these things. So I think now we should be. Let's see what the others are up to. What is Bangalore would look like? Okay, didn't invest anything in his infrastructure, but I believe that's the reason we are playing on the easy difficulty level. He did only one. No, I think we are okay in that regard. Let's go back to my tableau. So I think before we do anything else, I want to secure the first beyond marker here for sure, right? Yeah, let's do that. So we have 3 movement points here. We need 2, 5. I already have established 2 to land, 2 to traverse, and 2 to take off, 2 to traverse, and 1 to land. This is also a site you still have to spend 1 landing point. That is something that you sometimes forget. So I think we can safely play this card. We can play this card, so we have 5 movement points. Now we move. He has chosen this Teamster here, and he's already shown. I could move here to Phobos, basically showing me where I could move. I cannot move in here because it would cost me 6 movement points, so that's very cleverly done. I could also move to the southern side of Mars by basically moving through whatever, taking one of our little wagons, basically. So no, but I will move to the asteroid belt. So bam, I have taken the first beyond marker. This doesn't give me any victory points here, but I will get, let's say, an advantage next era to come. So that was that. Nicely done. Let's carry on. Oh, the deck is empty. I see that. I should have paid attention. So if I want to draw more cards now, actually, I should do so. Huh. Interesting. My turn. I still think I can take at least 2 more actions because the others have to pass. So I will research. I will take this card for sure. And maybe take, I don't know, take this card here. That's done. Let's end the turn. Now it's Vangelos. They're doing all kinds of stuff. I'm really not paying enough attention to what these guys are doing, actually. So where he's moving? Okay, he's also building a mast down here. Maybe let's have a quick look. What did he do? No! How could he done that? How could he have... Did he take 2 actions in a row or something like that? How could he have done that? I thought I checked and he had nothing in there. Yeah, okay, I messed that one up. That was clearly my thing, actually. I wanted to do that. That is really, really bad. Okay, maybe we want to produce then. I think then there is no... I could actually... Could I make it with my second team to Mars, actually? And by the way, in order to move, you always have to start or end your move at a base. So I have my base on Earth, but let's say if I would have moved now to, let's say, Deimos here. I didn't build a base there. I couldn't move that Teamster away from Deimos here, basically. Unless I'm moving it, I believe, to a base. Right? I need 10 movement points to make it from Earth to the asteroid belt. How many do I have? 3, 5, 7. That is not enough. Does anyone else? The end was not triggered, so I can still use it, I believe. No, that's 3 movement points. No, I think they're all not better than me. So then, yeah, let's simply produce. And yeah, simply produce. We can produce here. This simply gives us this production value of 1. That's currently 1 victory points. Let's take it. 8 points is not terrible, actually. Let's end our turn. Maybe we can do that once more. He's taking the last card. That's never a bad thing, typically. What was he playing there? Okay, he's exploiting a site. Okay, this didn't give him anything. That is good. That is good. Normally you want to see some, when you do these cards here, what was it actually? Was it the excavators or so? No, the near space probe as a special action. Exactly. This allows you to basically place a site somewhere where you are not present, and you're typically hoping for some victory points in the end. So I will produce again, because we are losing all those cards anyway at the end of this era, so there's no point not playing those cards. So let's produce. We produce here again. You can produce as many times as you have cards, so that's another point. So we have 9 profit already, not too shabby. And then I believe the last thing we might be doing, actually, because endgame has been in theory triggered now, so we can no longer use our other bases, by the way. But I think I can still play this card as an infrastructure to place it here. This helps me with the next era. So everything I have here on my board, which I have here on this one, I will get a legacy production here as well. So I will not lose this. So this will certainly help me in the next era to come, right? That's the idea. So let's end the turn. And I think afterwards we may simply pass, I believe. Also to make things a little bit less interesting for the other players. So I will end my turn. This is the final turn of the year. I think the other player, someone already has passed. And I think that's basically it. Nice. So we're getting a cool overview here. So how many points have we received? We're not getting any end of era bonus points unless this would be the final era. Then we would score something. Here we simply see, okay, that's what we get. 2 points from discoveries, 2 points from production, 5 points from contract. That is not terrible. And I'm really frustrated that he has taken away those points for me for the infrastructure expert also. That is really, really bad. So we would now go in theory into the next era. I can now choose a legacy production base to take with me. I will take this base with me. I don't really like. If you have more bases, I think you would see which you're in, but I almost never have more than one base in the first era of the game. Sometimes two when you really manage to get Moon and Mars, for example. That's at least my strategy. Let's move to the thing here. We have claimed the first Beyond marker. Start with a team at Ceres, a free E1 discovery tile, and go first in turn order. Claimed by Marcus. No one has claimed the second Beyond. I believe this is true because they're playing on the easy difficulty level, or for me it's the easy difficulty level. Anyway, so let's move into the next era, 3 of 3. So now we are loading some more components here, and then we are here. Planetiers 2070 to 2149. Humanity conquers the outer solar system, undergoes further evolution, and learns to harness advanced technology. Because I have claimed the first Beyond marker, I will go first. My bonuses, all my competitors are here in the inner solar system, so we are now playing on a completely different map here. So we have 3 maps to go through. This is the new first Beyond and the second Beyond, so we can now make it to Pluto, and after Pluto we know there is the Beyond. But I already started here, and that is amazing. I was able to gain the natural wonders here, and the natural wonders basically immediately scored me 2 victory points. That is so cool. So I'm now at 2. There are a lot of changes in this era here, so now I believe we can look into the adaptation cards. 2 points available. If you have the 3rd point, you remember we can take one of these cards. So for example, if I gain now the 3rd genetic points, I could claim the low body mass adaptation card. Your move action gains 5, so I get an inherent 5 movement points. That is really an ultra amazing thing. This one is super amazing here. In that energy efficient, your build actions gain 3 build on its own. So you can really explore a lot of things. These only come out in the Starfarers era, for example. The Enviro Tolerance is also an amazing card, worth 1 colony point, but we will get there. And on top of this, we have the breakthrough cards here. This is basically where you have to move the black cube on your player board around, and when you make a full circle there, you can then claim the breakthrough cards, and something like this here, for example. Your research actions gain 1 research on top, so you're drawing 1 more card, or here you are doubling your exploration points, so it's really a ×2 in this case. So all kinds of cool stuff. We will see new exploration tokens here on this board and whatnot. We also have now radiation we have to keep, or we have to consider, because otherwise you will lose some victory points when you're not dealing with radiation. So now the cards come, when you look at this card, come with a shielded build value. So whenever you are doing something in this radiation zone, so basically beyond these let's see, this inner ring here, you want to make sure that at least one of your build points has this shielded value, because if one of this, the whole action is shielded in this case. And it's also allowing you may upgrade as an infrastructure. We have all sorts of new contracts, having 2 progress cards, for example. And progress cards, this is the overarching term basically. So this is either an adaptation card or a breakthrough card in this case. For example, 3 asteroid bases, 2 bases beyond Uranus, 3 bases in 1 region, non-starter Planetier cards, and 3 infrastructure. 4 bases on 4 sites containing water or life. I think, no, we haven't started here quite well. So if that would have been 1 natural life, for example, what was it, natural life? Or what was it called? like Water or Life, I would have considered going for those. Yeah, really a lot more to explore. The rules didn't really change all that much. There are somewhat different cards. We now have higher cost to pay, so in order to really make it out here to the far side of our solar system, you see we have to traverse here. We need 6 movement points here alone. Apart from that, all the other rules and mechanics more or less stay the same. But I believe I will end my walkthrough here today. Again, the idea of this video was to give you an impression of what the digital edition does. I really love this game, and now since I have the digital edition, I really played it a lot of times actually already. So yeah, really looking forward to that, to the final product of the game. Again, check out Steam. I will put a link somewhere in the description, or it will pop up during this video here. You can then put it on your wish list, and then when it comes out, you're getting notified. I have no clue about the pricing, what it will cost and whatnot. I may consider to save my game here, so if you're really interested in seeing more of this, I will consider to keep playing. Maybe I will also start playing again with a somewhat, let's say, tougher difficulty level, maybe at least on medium difficulty level, maybe even considering a 4-player game. The more the merrier, right? Just let me know and I will consider that. And yeah, with that being said, and before I forget, a huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. You guys are truly amazing. Can't tell you how much I appreciate all your support. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.